I think scheduling a discovery call with Declan sounds like a good next step for us to take. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. So you want to get started with learning the fundamental basics of voice AI, so that you can capitalize on the enormous opportunity ahead of us, but you're not sure where to start. Maybe you want to build a voice assistant that you can use in your own business, or want to learn how to create them so you can charge other businesses or people for your services. Well, my good friend, this video is for you. And if you're not entirely sure about some of the different ways that you could potentially use voice assistants or voice AI, I'm going to cover that too. You see, this video is designed to take you from knowing absolutely nothing about voice assistants to being able to build and deploy them without the ability to code. So it's probably going to be a pretty long one. You might want to grab a notebook and play back any sections that you need to. If you find yourself drifting, try and refocus, because if you do digest everything in this video, you'll be perfectly poised to capitalize on the huge opportunity that is voice AI. For those that don't know me, hello, I'm Declan Kirk. I spent 9 years at IBM and Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and the goal with this channel is to help disruptive businesses increase their leads with automation and AI technology. If you've got a project in mind that you'd like to talk to me about, you can check out my links below. Alright, let's get to it, baby! So we're going to start by talking about some of the different use cases that voice AI has. Now, if you've already got a use case in mind, or you feel pretty comfortable with some of the different ways that it can be applied, feel free to skip ahead to the next section below. Broadly speaking, voice AI use cases can be put into two buckets. That's inbound is our first bucket, and outbound is the second bucket. Now, voice AI isn't a silver bullet, but it can be a pretty powerful tool in your arsenal. Now, when it comes to inbound leads for voice AI projects, there's quite a few different options. Some of the ones that I've come up with so far, or have heard kind of being discussed with other people, are maybe making appointments for doctors, at a doctor's surgery, or any kind of wellness spas. Charities is another one. I was looking at someone that was creating a phone line for if someone's on the brink of becoming homeless. At any time of day or night, they can make a phone call and actually speak with an AI agent. Restaurant booking systems is another one. So if you want to reserve a table or find out what's on the menu, you can phone a phone line and obviously kind of do that. Same with hotels, similar use case there in hospitality. If you want to reserve a hotel room or make an amendment to your booking, that's something you can potentially do with these voice agents. Barbershops and tattoo parlors, nail salons as well. So anything really where you want to book an appointment or find out some information where you typically speak with a receptionist is something that an inbound voice agent could do. Of course, if your end goal is to generate more leads or opportunities for your business with an inbound agent, you can train the robot or the AI assistant to answer questions, but then ultimately qualify an opportunity if that's what you want to do, or encourage the prospects or person that it's speaking with to book an appointment or reserve a room or a hotel or a session or whatever it is that ideally you'd like them to do. So you can actually train it to be helpful, but then also help generate more opportunities and ultimately more revenue for your business. Which brings us on to outbound. So my understanding as of May 2024 is that with outbound AI agents, you're able to cold call businesses, but not people. So if you're in some kind of B2B type business, you can use AI agents to make outbound calls. But if your business is B2C, business to consumer, you might not be able to use these outbound call agents to call your prospects directly. But of course, this is a really new space, so it's definitely worth looking into this before going too far ahead with any kind of project that you take on, because it would be a shame to implement all this technology and then find out that for legal reasons you can't actually use it in the way that you're intending. So some of the ways I've been thinking around using these outbound voice AI agents include when someone maybe completes a form on a website and then they receive a phone call to be kind of qualified and put into different lead funnels. And that's something I'm going to demo and show you how to build later. You could also use it to maybe do an initial discovery call with a prospect before booking a call with a real sales rep, fulfilling that role of a BDR or business development rep. And I think another really good outbound use case is an abandoned cart. So over the weekend, I was looking at booking a flight to the Philippines to go scuba diving. And I was on the website, I found some good dates, but then I found I had to add on an extra 200 quid in order to bring some bags with me. So I didn't go ahead and make the purchase. And then about 20 minutes later, I had someone from a call center give me a call to see whether there's anything else they could help me with, or whether they could try and encourage me to actually go ahead and make the booking. And that got me thinking, well, that's a perfect use case for voice AI agents, because I'm sure there's a lot of abandoned carts and there's a lot of kind of abandoned cart processes, but actually kind of having an outbound voice agent make a call could be a really powerful option to help progress the sales cycle. So in my mind, out of all of those use cases that I've just spoken through for outbound voice agents, I think appointment setting, lead qualification, and abandoned cart are probably the most powerful use cases that I can think of for voice AI agents. But there's probably a lot more that I haven't thought of yet or that I didn't cover. So if you've got any other thoughts, let me know in the comments below, because I'm genuinely really interested to hear how else we could be using this voice AI technology. Now, this isn't a sponsored video, but I think it's important that I talk through some of the different options available to you if you're looking at building a voice AI agent, and why I've made the decision to use the program that I have. If this doesn't sound of interest to you and you feel like you trust me and you're happy, feel free to skip ahead. But if not, I'm just going to go through and kind of take you through some of the pros and cons of some of the leading providers. But like I say, this is not sponsored, and you guys watching this video having trust and faith in me and what I'm saying is so much more important than me taking a small cut from any of these providers, which is why I haven't actually included any affiliate links below, even though I could for some of them. So the three key providers that I've looked at in the space are Synthflow, Bland.ai, and Vapi. So Synthflow is one of the first options that I looked at. It's been designed for non-technical users and is very user-friendly. It's got lots of predefined templates for common use cases, which is great, but the downside is that you don't get much flexibility. For instance, if you're trying to create a appointment setting voice agent, you can't customize it and do as much with it as you can with some of the other platforms. Synthflow is also one of the most expensive options that I've looked at. And as of May 2024, the voice agents that Synthflow create aren't as fast and as responsive as some of the other offerings out there. So what you gain in terms of ease of use when creating a voice agent in Synthflow, you lose in terms of cost, flexibility, and also the latency or speed when actually speaking with the voice agent or the finished product. Now, Synthflow integrates really easily with Go High Level. So if you want to white label this offer and then kind of resell it to other people, this could be a good way to go. And it's got good, really easy integrations with Zapier, which means it's pretty easy to integrate it with your chosen CRM. And best of all, it integrates with 11 Labs, which as of time of recording is the best voice provider out on the market. It's the most natural and it's got the most options. So if you want to create realistic voices with lots of different accents, 11 Labs and making sure that the platform that you use integrates with 11 Labs is definitely the way to go. And Synthflow can do that. But the lower volume plans cost 58 cents per minute, which is almost 6 times more expensive than some of the other offers out there. And some of the other offers are actually more flexible too. So I suppose really it all comes down to, can you create a valid business case for why you use Synthflow, which is easier to use and learn up front, but in exchange for a more expensive product. Watching this video through to the end will give you all of the tools that you need to use the other platforms. So, I mean, the choice is yours, but my hunch says that if you're watching this and you're where you are now, Synthflow probably isn't the right platform for you, unless you want a white label. Another big provider in the voice AI space is Bland.ai. Now, there seems to be a bit of confusion online in terms of whether Bland.ai can make phone calls outside of the US. I'm obviously based in the UK, and so it was a huge consideration for me. But when I looked into it, you are able to make outbound phone calls with Bland.ai to the UK. However, there's not as many countries available or open to you as with Vapi and some of the other providers. So if you're going to go with Bland.ai, make sure that you look into the territories where you want to make your outbound phone calls to make sure that they're compatible and work with Bland. Now, Bland is faster than Synthflow, which helps create more realistic voice exchanges with your agent, and it's a lot more in line with how a natural conversation would sound and flow. However, Bland does integrate with 11 Labs, but the integration isn't as good. You can't upload and use custom 11 Labs voices, for example, which means if you want to create an agent with a specific accent, or I don't know, hail a famous voice or an actor or celebrity, that isn't something that's open to you with Bland. Which brings us on to Vapi, which is the option I'm going to go into in a lot more detail. Now, Vapi has a higher learning curve than some of the others, especially Synthflow, but in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. Vapi's a lot more flexible and much more powerful, which means as your ability to use the platform increases and grows, you'll be able to get a lot more out of the platform. So Vapi's a platform that I think has the most realistic intonations and latency, so conversational speed. It also integrates perfectly with 11 Labs, which means that you get access to all of the realistic voices and you can create something that really does sound very close to a human interaction, if not perfect. And I'll show you that a little bit later. It's also one of the most cost-effective platforms because of the flexibility that it provides. You can select different voice-to-text transcribers, different voices in 11 Labs, and different LLMs or large language models, depending on your specific use case. which means you can get really granular in optimizing your agent for what your use case is whilst keeping your price down. And that's also something I'll cover a little bit later. Vapi is also one of the most powerful because of the extensive API integration system that it has, which basically means it can connect with a lot of stuff. It can connect with platforms like Make.com as well as Zapier, which is great, again, if you want to try and keep your costs down, or if you want that flexibility of connecting with other platforms other than just Zapier. And this is a big one. The advanced function means that you're able to pull data throughout the conversation and trigger events, not just at the end. So I don't know, if you want to send a Calendly link or an SMS or an email, you can actually train the agent to do that throughout the conversation, not just at the end. Now, of course, coming back to me and my mission of helping disruptive businesses leverage automation and AI technology to get more leads, this is huge, because if we're trying to schedule a follow-up call or schedule some kind of sale or event, we can actually do that there and then when somebody's speaking with the agent. The biggest con with Vapi is the initial learning curve you have in order to get the most out of it. But the good news for you is you're watching this video, and if you carry on watching it all the way through to the end, you'll have all of the knowledge you need to use Vapi effectively and get everything out of the platform. But like I say, you don't need to be able to code to use Vapi. You just need to know a little bit about prompt engineering, something that I'll cover a little bit later, and you need to be able to connect a few dots. It really is just a case of letting go of any limiting beliefs that you've got that you can't learn this stuff. You absolutely can. You see, the way it works is that we have our phone here, but effectively we have a telephone here. That is a telephone, in case you're not aware. What we do is, so you're having a telephone conversation, this can be either inbound or outbound, and it connects to Vapi, which is here. So we've got Vapi, and it's trans-directional. In other words, you speak to Vapi and then Vapi comes back here. So we're having this kind of trans-directional conversation. Then that is the first piece of it here. But what I'm going to show you in this demo is not just how to set it up so we have our voice agent of Vapi speaking via telephone, but Vapi will then connect to Make.com. So let's put that out here, which is an automation platform. And then from Make.com, we can connect to lots of other things. So do you remember earlier I was saying about how Vapi is really powerful because it enables us to trigger actions and automations whilst the conversation is taking place? Well, basically what would happen is maybe you, I don't know, the system decides that the prospect is worth, I don't know, setting up a discovery call with a real person, or it's, you know, you want to, if it's a table reservation and you want to book something with them on the phone to confirm the booking, you go into Vapi, and then Vapi will trigger an automation in Make, and then Make will connect to, I don't know, a Google Calendar, for example. So let's put that here, Google Calendar, or it could be, I don't know, it could be Calendly. What's the other one? So it could connect into Calendly, or we could have, I don't know, just storage, for example. Some plain storage. So Google Calendar, Calendly, or storage, and that's effectively how it works. If you ever get lost or you're trying to work out where we are as I start to go into the demo, just think back to this image here. So we've got our phone conversation, and that's how we speak with someone on the phone, and they go into Vapi, and then from Vapi we go into Make.com, which is our automation platform, and then it's Make that triggers a different event. So maybe it saves some data in storage or a Google Sheet. Maybe it connects to a Google Calendar to book a meeting or sends a Calendly link. Maybe it sends an SMS, that's another one. Whatever happens, that all happens via Make.com. And it's by connecting to Make.com that we start to be able to incorporate dynamic content or dynamic information. So there we go. Now, if that starts to feel a little bit overwhelming, don't worry. We're going to go through it now in the next part of this video, so it should start to become a bit clearer. But if you've got a particular project in mind, feel free to use the link below to go onto my website and schedule a call with me. So I'd love to hear from you. And so Make.com is a no-code automation platform. So what that means is that you don't need to be able to code in order to use it and then trigger some of the other automations. But it's incredibly powerful. If you want live, I don't know, weather data or Bitcoin data or currency data or anything you can think of, it's via Make.com that you're able to take this live data and then put it into your voice agent and put it into Vapi. Right, so now you get the theory, let's actually show you Vapi in action. So Vapi actually has some customizable templates that you can use, which is great when you first are getting started with a platform, and they cover some of the common use cases. So they've got an appointment setter, they've also got a customer support, and they've also got inbound Q&A. So if you just want to start with one of these three options, feel free. I'm actually going to demo a voice agent that I've built from scratch, and I've designed this to be my own personal assistant. So the idea being, if you go onto my website and you can fill in a contact form, you're then given a call by Richard, a voice AI agent that I've created, to try and understand a little bit more about your interest, or whether you've got a project, or whether you want to work with me. So let's show you that in action. So if I phone the number here.
Hello, this is Richard. I'm Declan, Kirk's virtual receptionist. Thanks for giving us a call today. I'm here to help. What's your name?
My name's Tina Turner, and I want to sell more albums.
Hi Tina, Declan Kirk helps businesses generate more leads with automation and AI technology. Are you interested in learning more about how he can help increase your album sales?
Yes, I want to learn more about that.
Great, Tina. Is there a particular area you're interested in learning more about? Or would you like a general overview of how automation and AI technology can help increase your album sales?
General overview, please.
Sure, Tina. Declan Kirk can help increase your album sales by using automation and AI technology to generate more leads for you. This technology can help you reach a wider audience and improve your marketing strategy, resulting in increased album sales. Would you like to schedule a call with Declan to discuss more about how he can help you?
Do you know what? I think I would. Yes, please.
Great, Tina. I'm glad to hear that. Can you please provide me with your preferred date and time for the call?
Can we do Wednesday at 3 p.m?
Yes, Wednesday at 3 p.m. works perfectly. I will schedule the call with Declan. Please provide me with your contact details, Tina.
And I'll stop it there. But you get the idea, right? So that is an example of Richard taking a phone call, understanding more about Tina Turner and how she wants to sell more albums. And then what Richard has done in the background is he's captured all of that, put it into a Google Sheet, and then from there, he's actually triggered a Calendly link to be sent in order to schedule the session. And yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, now it's time for the good bit. We're going to dive in and actually look at Vapi and the platform. And just remember, if we get lost at any point, just think back to this demo that we showed and looked at earlier. We've obviously got, where's my hand here? So we've obviously got the phone here where we're making the phone call into Vapi. And that is effectively the bit we're looking at the beginning here. Later on, when we start talking around automations and AI, we're going to go from Vapi, which is here, down into make.com, and then off to Google Storage or Calendar or Calendly or SMS or all those other pieces. But for now, at the beginning here, we're looking at Vapi and how Vapi interacts with the telephone over here. So we're just in this piece here. Okay, so let's dive in. So this is Vapi. Over here on the left, you can navigate through to some of the different areas. You've got assistants, and we'll go into this bit in a little bit more detail in a second, but that's effectively where you create your different voice agents and assistants. Then we've got phone numbers. So, I mean, I'll blur this out, but you can see that I've actually got this connected to a phone number at the moment. So if you phone that number, you'll actually speak with an AI voice agent I created. So you can actually purchase a number in Vapi by pressing here, and that costs you $2 a month. But as of time of recording this, you can only actually purchase a number in Vapi if it's a number that you're going to use in either the US or Canada. However, what you can do, and it's what I've done, is you can actually import with Twilio, which I think is a pretty good solution. So if you go to twilio.com, you can purchase a phone number, and then if you click import, you can then go through, put in the number, put in an SID or SID, I'm not actually sure how you pronounce that, along with an authentication token, and within a few seconds you'll have integrated your Twilio phone number into Vapi and you can start using it. Now, be careful. There's something to be aware of here, and it's a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but I thought I should probably flag it, is that Twilio are naturally a little bit conscious of the fact that you're connecting a phone number that you just bought into an AI voice agent, because I think what they're trying to do is stop criminal activity. So what typically you'll have to do is upload a driving license or a passport. It will provide some details about a limited company or some other details like that, so they can actually help identify you and trace it back in case you get up to anything fraudulent. Of course, if you've got a business or you're connecting your voice agent into a business phone line, then it's no problem. But like I say, and it's not really the scope of this video, but I just wanted to flag it and make sure that you're aware so that you don't get caught out and maybe, I don't know, build an agent and all of a sudden try and connect it and find that you've got to wait a few days to go through the verification process. For me, it took less than 24 hours with Twilio, but yeah, just so I let you know that. The next one to show you is documents. So documents, which as you can see here, that's where you upload any custom knowledge bases that your agents can tap into. Now, I've actually made a whole video about what a custom knowledge base is, which you can watch up here and then come back if you'd like. But effectively, that custom knowledge base is some kind of specified information that you can provide to your voice agent or system. Next, you've got the voice library. Now, this is something really handy that I didn't find out about initially. So this is probably the best place to try out the different voices. You don't select them here for your agent, but it's here that you can actually try them out. So if you think 11 Labs, which I think is the best provider, what you can actually do is go through and think, I don't know, let's see what Lily, who's a British female, what she sounds like, and press here and get a nice sample.
The fox has many tricks. The hedgehog has but one, but that is the best of all.
And then you think, well, maybe try Dommy, who we can see is an American female.
Work while you have the light. You are responsible for the talent that has been entrusted to you.
Again, so Mark, young and calm male American.
Happiness can exist only in acceptance.
So you can kind of go through and find the different ones, and obviously we've got gender here, so you can search by that, accents, and everything else there. So that's a pretty good thing to... Then we've got our call logs. So when you actually start getting inbound calls, you get a nice kind of summary. It tells you how much they cost. You get an idea, and you can see something like this one here is the demo that we ran through earlier. You've got lots of different options and things available to you there. And then, of course, you've got your provider API. So this is if you want to start connecting. So we were thinking back to that diagram with Vapi and then connecting it to Make, the automation platform. It's in this area here in the API section that we do that, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. Right, so we go into Assistants, and let's go with Alice, which is an agent that I created earlier. Another one of my virtual assistants. So what you can see here is we set our first message here. So in my one here, it says, hello, this is Alice. I'm Declan Kirk's AI virtual assistant. You're calling this number because you said you have a project where you could be interested in working with Declan. Can I start by taking your name? So this first message here, you can obviously customize that. You just select it and then type in what you want your first message to be. And then that's what the agent will say. You select your provider here. I got OpenAI was the one selected, but of course you've got lots of different options. And the great thing about Vapi is I assume as time progresses and we start getting more advanced LLMs, it will integrate with those here. So you can actually... So once you've built your voice agent, you can keep it up to date for yourself or your clients by kind of selecting different providers. We've also got the model here. So, I mean, I've been using 3.5 because that's a little bit cheaper. As you can see, we've got GPT 4 or 4.0 cluster. So if we say put that up to 4.0, you can see it puts our cost up, but also it makes the agent slightly slower. So you need to have a play around and try and work out what's the best for your specific use case and is it advanced enough. So that's something else to look at. We then got our knowledge base here. So if you want to provide it with a custom knowledge base, you can click and select that. And again, then your agent will start to draw out information from the PDF or whatever it is, the document that you upload. Typically what I do is I create a .txt file on my Mac. And then when I'm ready and happy with it, I save it as a PDF and then ingest the PDF into Vapi. And then that's how I access it like that. There's lots of different ways you can do it. Then, of course, we've got temperature. So a temperature, that makes seem a little bit strange, but it effectively determines the kind of spontaneous feel of it. It describes it as randomness, but it's really how spontaneous the AI system is. So the warmer it is, the more free-spirited, and the colder, the more formal. So I guess a good way to think of it is if you want your agent to feel like a free-spirited hippie, it's probably going to be hanging out somewhere really nice and hot, maybe Goa or Ibiza or wherever it is, so you make it the temperature nice and warm. However, if it's a more formal agent, and perhaps, I don't know, it is working for a law firm or a more kind of professional setting or an accountancy, you might want to reduce the temperature slightly so it's not quite as random and more matter of fact. But again, that's for you to kind of play around with and get the right feel for you. And then, of course, we put our system prompt under here and where it says system prompt. Now, I made a whole video about good prompt engineering, again, which you can watch up here. But effectively, it's really important to get this bit right because it will determine how effective your system is. So I use role, task, specifics, context, and then I've given it some custom knowledge, as well as then providing it with an example script and some kind of notes and narrowing. So I actually included this down in the notes and the description below. So if it's of something of interest, feel free to use it or take a look. But something else to be aware of is markdown formatting. So once you've written out your specific system prompt, you can then effectively put it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to convert it into markdown formatting and then put that back into your prompt. Now that's important because OpenAI has all of its prompts and systems written and created in markdown formatting. So in theory, it increases the speed and the reactiveness of the system. And of course, when it's voice agents and we want this to feel as natural and as fast as possible, that's a nice step that we can do. So make sure your prompt is in markdown formatting. So our next bar over here is a transcriber. So I stick with Declan, which is a voice-to-text provider. We've also got TalkScriber there. That one, as you can see, makes the latency, so the speed makes it slightly slower, but it doesn't change the price. But I've kind of started with Declan, and I've been fine with that. And you've got different models that you can use here. But I've just started with the standard in English, and that's worked pretty well for me. Something else to point out is to detect speech emotion. So I've got that off at the moment. But if you want to, for whatever reason, detect whether someone's getting frustrated, and maybe if they are connecting through to a real human, you can turn that on. And then what the system does is it's able to detect how at peace or how annoyed or frustrated the person is that's speaking with your voice agent. So that's a pretty interesting feature, which has probably got lots of other use cases that I'm not thinking of at the moment. But yeah, that's a cool feature. Which brings us on to voice. So as I mentioned earlier, 11 Labs for me is number one. Number one! But, like I said, there's lots of other modules and things that you can play around with here. Something else which is quite interesting is we've got background sound. So I keep this off, but if you want to maybe make it sound like the AI is, or the voice agent is in an office, you can add office, which kind of just gives it a slightly more realistic sound, I suppose. And then you can also, down here, increase or decrease the stability and the clarity, and just some of the other features and styles of the voice. So it really does give you quite a bit of control in terms of how your voice sounds and how it comes across with the end user. Which brings us on to functions. Now, functions is one of the areas that I think makes Vapi quite powerful. So it's in functions that we're able to connect with Make.com or Zapier or other automation platforms and push out specific bits of data, and then also take data from other platforms and incorporate into our system. It's here that we make what's called webhooks into other platforms. The easiest way to think of this is connecting a dot to dot. So it's from here that we take our data out of Vapi and then put it into Make.com or Zapier or whatever other kind of automation platform or whatever it is that where we want to move the data to. So thinking back to our diagram, this is the bit where those arrows going from Vapi to Make, this is where this happens and where we set those. So if we want to schedule a task or an appointment, this is where we do it. So to do that, let's create a new function. So let's go personal details. So we start by typing the function name, which we're going to put in as personal details, and then we give that a description of the data points. So this is a description of what the function does. So capturing personal details, and then it might be later on that we've maybe set up an automation to push this function into our CRM or a spreadsheet or wherever it is where we're collecting the data about the people that we're speaking with. So capturing personal details. Now we add the properties. So we've defined what this overall function is doing, but it's in the properties where we actually determine what we're doing. So it could be person's name. So that's what we call it. So we know as we move through and push it through to our different platforms what this is, and then we now need to give it a description or a prompt. Capture the person's name, and that's where we put it in there. So for this function, what we're doing is capturing someone's name, and that's what it's going to do. So in terms of then how we capture that data, we've got a few different options. The default is string, which is effectively where it captures a line of different pieces of information. So whatever is going on or taking place with that individual or the person, it's in the string. We then got number. So if we want to capture, I don't know, if someone's budget or a phone number or something along those kind of lines, we can specify that we want a number. We then got Boolean as well. I think that's how you pronounce it. To be honest, I'm not sure. But it's basically a binary yes or no answer. So, I mean, in my use cases, should we have a follow-up call with somebody, i.e. if somebody has a project where they could work with me and it makes sense for me to speak with them, I would put a Boolean and then I would put yes/no, and then I would ask it to determine whether this is someone that I want to speak with and have a discovery call with or not. But again, there's lots of different ways you can use that, and so that's Boolean. Okay, so once we've done all of that, we then need to add our server URL. So that's what we do here, is where this is with Make.com. This is where we take our URL from our webhook and then we paste that into our server URL. Now this step's really important, and it's one that kept catching me out, especially when, and it can be pretty annoying, especially when you've got 3 or 4 kind of advanced prompts here. You must press save to save it, and then crucially at the end you press add down here. If you don't press add, it won't save it. So we press add. Now we've got it saved as an option. There we go. And then we have it. So we've got our personal details, and then we've also got this one here. So you can see this is one I am actually using. So as you can see here, we've got first name, business impact, discovery call, and reason why they're interested. And each one of those, and then it kind of takes that and it sends it into my server in make.com. Cool. Now below that, we've got what's known as enable call functions. So here we've got the option to enable call functions. So this is whether we want our assistant to be able to end the phone call. This could be useful if, say, you're running this and you want to be conscious or careful of your budget and how much you're spending. Maybe the AI, if it's not getting a response, can end the call, or if it hears certain trigger words like goodbye or talk to you soon. As you can see down here, it will then given the power to end the call. So we can switch that on and off. And we've also got a forwarding number. So if as part of our prompt or as part of the system that we create, you want to be able to forward some other person that's speaking to the agent, so maybe a real life human being, or maybe another agent that's specially trained in a different area, you can set that up here. So that would be where you forward somebody to somebody else. And then we've got the end call phrases, which you can click in here and obviously type in whatever it is that we want. Which then brings us onto this files section, which is the advanced section. Even though it's called advanced, I wouldn't get put too much off by it. It really is just another section of Vapi. So here, and whether we need to use these or not, again, it will be up to you and your specific use case, but it's good to at least kind of understand and know that they're here. So we've got HIPAA compliance as the first one, and we can toggle that on or off. And that's effectively a kind of a set of protocols or kind of safeguards that the system can follow if you want it to. We've got voice recording or recording enabled. I like to keep that one on because it helps me kind of track and kind of monitor the performance. But again, it's up to you whether you save it or not. I think you should, obviously, if you are recording, I think you're supposed to declare that. But again, it all depends on your own specific territory and the rules in your area as to whether you need to do that or not. So obviously be conscious of that. But I think that's a really good option to have on. We've also got our voicemail messages here. So if maybe it's an outbound agent and it's phoning through and it goes through to someone's voicemail, you can actually kind of set a voicemail that it leaves and also a call at the end. So if it's about to finish the call, this is what its final message will be before it ends the call. So we've got those there. Now the other thing, just to look at very quickly, is that you can see here we've got this set to web at the moment. So that's if you make a call via the website. However, if you're maybe making a call via Twilio, you can see that it actually increases the cost and slows down the performance. So it's a slightly different area there. Instead of it costing 12 cents per minute, if you go to Twilio, it makes it 14 cents. And then the latency as well, so it actually makes it slightly slower using a Twilio, which is obviously a phone call. But yeah, that's that. There's something else just to make you aware of, which I think is a pretty good hack, and this is something I did when I was actually getting to grips with Vapi and how it works and what it does, is you can actually ingest all of Vapi's documentation into ChatGPT and then ask it specific questions. So if you're not sure on how to do something, and you can't, obviously I haven't covered it in this video, sorry, I thought I covered everything. But you can ingest the Vapi documentation into ChatGPT and then ask it specific questions, which is a pretty good hack. And obviously you can not just do that for Vapi, but you can do that for loads of different programs and software. Okay, now you've got a handle on Vapi, the platform. I'm now going to show another demo, which integrates with Make.com, which is my integration platform. And it's from there that we're then able to send SMSs or emails or contact links and capture details and information and data, which is exchanged as part of the conversation. So I'm going to show you a demo. It's similar to the one that I ran earlier, but it's different. So this time it's called Alice, and her intention and design is to actually qualify somebody, find out about the project, and then decide whether they should actually have a conversation with me. So whereas I created Richard just to act as a receptionist, obviously ultimately to increase leads. So Alice is actually a sales agent, and she's a bit more driven towards qualifying a lead or an opportunity for me, as opposed to just answering kind of general knowledge and general questions. So here's Alice, and I'm going to show you and obviously listen to the information and the data that I give, and then I'll show you how I captured that using the function setting, and then obviously I'll show you the make.com integration. So let's start by giving Alice a call. And we're going to say this is an inbound call. So I'm actually phoning Alice. I've got inbound and outbound for Alice. So if we want to have Alice kind of working through a data set or a list of different phone numbers, right, I can use her to do outbound calling. But like I say, in this one, we're actually doing it inbound. So somebody is phoning Alice. So let's give her a call.
Hello, this is Alice. I'm Declan, Kirk's AI virtual assistant. You're calling this number because you said you have a project where you could be interested in working with Declan. Can I start by taking your name?
Yeah, it's only Justin Bieber.
Thanks, Justin. Can we start by you telling me a bit more about the project you have in mind?
Yeah, well, I've got this line of puffer jackets, and they're not really selling as well as they could be. I keep getting lots of people on my website, but then they add the puffer jackets to the basket, but then they don't actually check out. And it's really getting me down.
That certainly sounds frustrating, Justin. Do you think this project will be focused more on analysing the data behind these actions, or implementing some sort of automation or AI to help increase conversion rates?
I think probably increasing conversion rates with AI, that's what I want to do.
That certainly sounds like an interesting project, Justin. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you think the business impact of such a project would be?
Well, I'd have less abandoned carts and ultimately more revenue because people will be buying more of my puffer jackets will be being sold.
That sounds great, Justin. More revenue and fewer abandoned carts would be a fantastic result. It really sounds like this project could make a significant impact on your business. I think scheduling a discovery call with Declan sounds like a good next step for us to take. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Great, Justin. Helping disruptive businesses generate more leads and serve their customers more effectively is our specialty. Is there anything else I can help you with before we proceed with scheduling the call?
No, that's it.
Sounds great. Thanks for sharing, Justin. I'll go ahead and schedule the discovery call with Declan. You'll receive the booking link shortly. Have a great day.
And then effectively what happens next is Justin Bieber will now get a Calendly link to then book a call with me. So let me show you this in action. So we've just obviously kind of had that call. If we go into functions here, so Alice, you can see that in the project details, what I've asked Alice to do is I've asked her to capture the first name. So it captures the first name, captures the business impact, and I've asked it to capture as much detail as possible. It also will capture the reason why they're interested. And then based on all of that, it will then make a decision if it should, and it's a yes or a no, so it's a Boolean, as to whether it should be a discovery call. So in my prompt over here, I've actually kind of, as part of this, I've given examples when I should speak with somebody and when I shouldn't. So if somebody's maybe looking at starting up their own AAA, that's been a use case or an example when I said that I shouldn't speak with somebody. But then if, for example, they've got a project and it's actually me working with them directly, then they should. And so I've kind of given it lots of different examples. And based on that and the context around the discussion that it has, it then makes a decision as to whether we should schedule a discovery call or not. And so that was really important because if our Boolean comes up and with a yes, that will then trigger an automation in Make, which I'll show you in just a second, which then sends out a Calendly link via email and also SMS to whoever it is that we're speaking with. So in this case, Justin Bieber and his puffer jackets. So, okay, so that's that. Let's go into Make. So, like I say, if you go to make.com, again, I had the option to offer you an affiliate link here, but I've actually decided not to. Again, I want to come across as impartial as possible. If you think that's a bad idea and hey, it's a good way to help me earn a bit of extra income, I'm not going to lie, I could use the income. Let me know in the comments because then maybe I'll change them to affiliate links. But if you think it's better to remain completely impartial, that's also cool as well because like I say, ultimately, having the right relationship with you guys is so much more important to me than the affiliate links, genuinely. But anyway, so this is make.com. Your home screen will look something a little bit like this. So this is make.com, we go to login and we're taken to a screen just like this. And you can obviously see the different active scenarios and everything taking place. So for this demo, I've actually used a separate Make account and it's on the free plan. But as you'll find, if you actually start using this Make in a lot of different ways, you'll use up the free plan pretty quickly. So in order to create a scenario, you go to scenarios here on the left. This is just a kind of a basic capture. If we go in here, you can see that what I've actually done is I've got a webhook here. So if you click that, you can then actually kind of create your webhook and copy it, and you copy it here. And then you actually need to run Vapi so that it sends all of this data through into make.com. That took me ages to figure that out the first time. So that's a big time saver for you guys. Once that's run, you'll then, if you go into Google Sheets, you can then select your different options. So you hook it up, say with Google Sheets, so with your own Google Drive, select a form. So I've got website inquiries and it's sheet 1, contains headers. And as you can see here, this is it. So as you can see, you then connect it up with your Google Sheet. And I've done here, I've got my Declan Kirk website inquiries, which is the Google Sheet I created for this. Sheet 1, contains headers, yes. And then what it does is it actually pulls through the different headers that I've got. And then what you do is in each one of these, you click here, you click on the star. And so long as you've actually run this and then it's seen the data, you can then go through and find the call functions and the parameters here. And this is where you then drag and drop your first name, business impact, and these different functions that you collect in Vapi. This is where you then pull that through and it's then fed into here. So with that in there, you can then see that if I open up the form, you can see actually, look here, so here's Justin, here's the last one that I did. And you can see that he wanted to increase conversions for puffer jackets on his website, his voice, and yes, we should have a discovery call. That's all of that. Now in terms of that next step of kind of taking that yes or no answer, or should we have a discovery call, and then sending a link, that's actually beyond the scope of this video. There's so many different things, and to be honest, I'm not sure where to stop because I could go on forever when it comes to make.com. It probably warrants a video in itself. So if a kind of a 101 on how to use make.com is of interest, let me know in the comments below. Or if there's something else you prefer me to make, also let me know. Because obviously I'm keen to help and show you what I can. Now, if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you watch my beginner's guide to prompt engineering video here, because prompt engineering is one of the most fundamental things you need to know as you start using these different automation and AI technologies. So understanding that and knowing what makes a good prompt is one of the best things you can do to level up your skills. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.
Peace!